You can come with your lens, but won't leave with the same view. You are now listening to Outside the Frame. Hello, everyone. I'm your host, Linnea Bowden. And of course, you're listening to Outside the Frame. Let me just be the first to say, welcome back to the Bayou. Obviously, everyone is pouring in back from different places, which creates this atmosphere of excitement, but also comes with this bit of chaos. There's familiarity in coming back on campus. Friends that were far away are now coming back, and everyone's down for the free food, endless events, and the off of the football season. So, and also in coming back, some people may have some glow ups. They'll change from residential halls to apartments. We see y'all. And also, some people have been spending their summer working hard, might have a new car, or just trying to pay off the bill, which is good too. So, also there might be some freshmen who are anticipating their first college lecture, roommate, everything. And it's a transition and a new season. And with all this newness, it's easy to get lost. And that's why we're here, to encourage you to find your place. If you're wondering who this we is, I have a very special guest here with me today, especially because she is the pioneer of this podcast, Dr. Fields. I'm elated to unpack this conversation with you today. Welcome back to Outside the Frame.
Thank you, Linnea. It is really great to be here with you, especially in the studio, just having this conversation. One of the things that I think is really, really cool for me is about almost 3 years ago, I started here at the university talking about unlimited lenses magnifying student experiences on our campus. And so now, not only are we using those unlimited lenses, but we have now built a frame. And we are looking outside of that frame to be able to do those things that are going to be more insightful, more meaningful, and more helpful for our students here on this campus.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. With that, I believe we both can agree. Finding yourself and looking outside the frame is not just talking about your classes or your friend groups. We're also speaking about campus.
Yes. So, as many of the students and many of our listeners may know, that we are also using unlimited lenses here on the Bayou, and we're starting to look at not only where we are and what we are doing and how we are managing to make our students be the best that they can be, but we're also looking at a few little things that are going to be uplifted through our Office of Communication. They are looking at how we're going to do some new branding real soon, so you're going to
Wow.
probably start seeing a lot more of the P40 being used on campus and how that's going to impact us. And so, of course, in student affairs, once they tell us, what may be coming down the pipeline, then we're going to look to see how do we help our students prepare for that. So now, instead of just looking outside of the frame and using unlimited lenses as we do that, then we're going to start thinking about what does it look like as we begin to lift off into this fall semester.
Wow.
Yes.
Awesome. And with lifting off into the fall semester, it's very important that you find a space where you can thrive here. As Dr. Fields just mentioned, they are taking the measures to make sure we have what we need to succeed. And also, that's a critical time for us to jump on that and take that opportunity.
So, as you say that, I think that one of the things that students need to really consider and know about is finding that sense of belonging.
Mhm.
Because sometimes when they come to campus, they may try to mimic those things that are not necessarily what I would say important to them. They may still try to navigate the way they did when they were in high school. This is a very different landscape than
It
high
is.
school. You're not going to be in class from 8 o'clock to 3 o'clock or 7:30 to 3 o'clock. You're going to have to learn that you may have class on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. That might be it.
Yes.
And how do you manage your time? Because if you have Tuesdays and Thursdays open, sometimes students feel, okay, so I don't need to get up. I don't need to do anything on Tuesdays and Thursdays. But you might need to use Tuesdays and Thursdays as prep time. Or Tuesdays and Thursdays may be the time that you actually wash clothes or clean your room or get yourself established and ready to do those things. Tuesdays and Thursdays may be your study time so that you can have Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to have your flex time to do whatever you are wanting to do. It's also a time to think about how do you continue some of those things that you were doing in high school, such as continuing to be engaged and involved. And so I always talk to students about finding that right place with ministry. You
Mm.
know, there are a lot of organizations on campus that can help them with their spiritual well being. We also have those organizations on campus that can help with service. You
Mm.
know, in high schools now, it's a really, really, really big trend for students to come with some type of service learning or some type of service experience. And so they can definitely find that right space by becoming oriented or aware of those organizations. So many are those, you know, on our campus that can meet the needs of the students as they're coming in the gate. And for some of those continuing students, you know, who haven't gotten engaged, we'll be very excited to see them, you know, become engaged as well.
Awesome. Yes, ma'am. With that, it reminds me of this question. Who are you? What are your interests, your hobbies, your mindset? Where are you at right now with your scheduling, with your time management? But also, what do you like? Are you a spiritual person? Are you athletic? Are you creative? In order to find your place, I think it's really important that you know who you are and take inventory of who you are. Because in order to grow, you first need to know where you're at right now. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So, you know, don't ask me who I am because I can't tell you. You know, from one day to the next, I might be, who knows? I can only imagine what students might how they might define me and what they may say. But in my own personal definition of myself, I would want to think that I am that individual that, especially on this campus, as it relates to our students, that they feel comfortable coming and having these conversations with, just as you
Yes.
and I are having them, to be able to relate to them in some kind of way to help them if they need assistance to focus on their trajectory while they're here. You know, how do we get them on this path to be able to come in and work their way through? How do we help them to assess those aspects of life? You know, as we talked about earlier, that spiritual well-being, the physical well-being, the emotional well-being, the mental and intellectual side of the house, and the social side. I know social is very important, you know, to all
Yes.
students. So I'm going to flip it back over to you as we talk about this social piece.
Yes, ma'am. I believe, as she already said, being social is very important. You come to college, you want to have fun, and you want people to have fun with. So, and considering finding your place, it also kind of involves finding your people. These are going to be the people that you continue with throughout college, and it's important to know who you are and the type of people that you want to be around, you know. And you might even consider the friends that you have now, because our friends, let's just say it like this. Our community defines us. The people that we're around, they pour into us, they affect us, and so they also affect who we are. And so you also may want to expand your friend groups and who you are around. You have anything to say to that, Dr. Phyllis?
So, you know, when you talk about the community and your core group of friends that you're around, so a lot of times students talk about the sixth floor,
Mm.
you know. So the sixth floor is important on our campus because it does define who we are as leaders for the students that are here on our campus. You know, specifically speaking of the sixth floor, let's just take President Barry, for instance. All of the students love President Barry. They love
I
his
agree.
demeanor. They love how he interacts with the students. They love him to a fault. You know, I tell him all of the time, I said, you know what, you make my job really, really hard because a lot of times if something happens on campus that's not quite so positive as far as someone needing to be what I would say if they break a rule, you know,
Mm.
then they'll call President Barry, then he may say, Dr. Fields, I need you to look into this, right? And then I'm looking into it and I'm walking back down the hall and I'm saying, President Barry, listen, I'm going to have to follow this policy. He said, follow the policy, you know. But when the student comes to me and I have to tell them those kinds of things, I'm not the most favorite person, you know, at that moment, you know, but it is just being able to move down that hallway, to have that conversation, to be able to settle those things, or speaking with the provost, or even speaking with business and finance about different things too. A lot of students come and they're still looking for those dollars. And so I've got to involve Miss Miller. I've got to go to Dr. Graves. I have got to go to the provost. I've got to go to everyone up there to kind of talk about what this looks like. So when you talk about your social network, they may not see us outside of the sixth floor working together. But let me just let you all know that we work very hard on that sixth floor to make sure that these students, that all of you all receive everything that you need to be able to navigate on this campus. And I can't forget about Dr. Mike Camille, who's over with the Student Success Center. And we'll talk a little bit more about that as we move through our conversation this morning.
Yes, that just makes me think as a student, it may be hard for us to see ourselves in you all's shoes and how you work in your social networks, but y'all were once in our shoes. And so y'all built those connections. Y'all use those connections today. And so it just reinforces the point that the people around you are important and you need them and they're going to help you to grow and succeed.
Yes.
But also with growing and succeeding, you can't just think of who you are and where you're at right now, because it's important that you grow. You need to also consider, who do you want to be? Who do you want to be? So, Dr. Fields, do you have any thoughts about who students may want to be in?
I shared this with the provost the other day, and I think that I can safely talk about this. When we talk about who do you want to be, I had a really crazy experience in the Atlanta airport with my granddaughter, Annalise. And Annalise saw Cardi B coming through the airport. And I didn't know who Cardi B was. Okay.
No.
So, when you talk about who do you want to be, someone may tell me that they want to be like this famous artist, right? Or this celebrity person, or, someone, when you start talking from that frame, you might lose me because all I saw was somebody walking through the airport with some pink stuff on and pink fuzzy slippers, and she's trying to I was like, get back here. You will not go. And so she thinks that I'm just being the most awfulest grandmother in the world, and she is like, she left us so fast, So sometimes, and I had to pull her back a little bit, and say to her, okay, so let's talk about Cardi B. How did she get from where she is right now? How did she get there? How did she get there? What were the steps that she had to take to get to where she is? And then you have to consider the educational piece to all of these things. She probably had some highs and lows in her life that you might not see or know about. And so when you're talking about being like someone, or walking in the shoes of someone else, you need to take it all the way back to that discovery period of where they started, so that you will have a full concept and understanding of who it is you're trying to be like. Because you might find along the way, as you are moving through this, I might not want to be engaged in some of these components of their life, and so you might have to detour or take another step that they may not have taken, or do something a little bit differently. So that's going to also, while you may have this person framed in your mind, you may have to use your unlimited lenses and reframe them. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. I love that and definitely agree. My friend and co-host Treasure Garner often tells me, don't wish that you would be like somebody else, because you do not know what it took for them to get there. You may not want what it took for them to get there. So I feel like that was a very teachable moment for your granddaughter.
Yes.
And I also think that's why it's important for us to consider what we have right now in order to be where you want, because it starts at the beginning. It starts with knowing who you are, what you like, where you want to go. And college is definitely that place for you to figure it out.
Yes.
College is a place of self-discovery. And Dr. Fields, do you have anything to add that about college being a place of self-discovery?
So, as I think about kicking off on Saturday, I think about the fact that we are planning this Warhawk Way Summit. And that's going to start at about 1:30, I think, on Saturday. So students are going to be all over campus on Saturday. We're going to make sure we have plenty of water out here because it is so hot. but we're going to have the water for them and all those refreshments. But on Saturday at 1:30, we're going to ask them to frame a little bit differently from moving in. And we're going to ask them to report to Bayou Point and also report to the hangar. So there will be a group of students who are majoring in CBSS and CHS that will be going into Bayou Point. The students who are going to be majoring in CAES and CP, and you can help me with those acronyms so you can tell them what those are. The hangar, they're going to be going to the hangar. And so they're going to have two separate MCs. At Bayou Point, you're going to have the opportunity to work with Carlos and Ahmad. And so they're going to run Bayou Point. So that that's going to be one of those really high spirited, because everybody knows that Ahmad brings that spirit to any activity that he's going to work with. And then at the hangar, you're going to have Misen, and you're going to, the MC is going to be Mr. and Miss ULM. Misen will be the timekeeper there because, Mr. and Miss ULM can sometimes, they get outside the frame, and they start doing things that, I'm going like, they are having too much fun. So sometimes we have to keep that time on them, And then, of course, Ahmad is going to probably have everybody stand up and give him a round of applause, and they'll probably end up being captivated with timekeeping by Kristen Chandler. But this experience is going to be a little bit different because we're going to engage them with some things that will absolutely help them understand the direction of the university. And so we're going to have a check-in, okay? Just like you would have a check-in at the airport. After we have that check-in, they're going to go through an onboarding process. During that onboarding process, I'm really excited about this part. So, the provost, at first he was like scratching his head a little bit, and then he got on board too. So we're going to absolutely have a session that's going to onboard, and they're going to talk about some emotional connections, that they may have or be able to experience. And then we're going to start with our pre-flight check-in. When you're in the airport, you have this pre-flight check-in. I hate it, but here they have made it so cool that I'm going like, what, the next time I'm going to have a different attitude when I go to the airport. I'm going to be ready to do my little pre-check because I think I have figured that piece out. I have TSA. So I think I have the TSA pre-check, so I don't have to take my shoes or jacket off, okay?
Wow.
And so here, the students are going to go through this pre-flight check-in. They're going to actually get a chance to start thinking about how it is that they're going to commit to being successful while they're on campus, which I think, and get involved with these RSOs. So I think all of the things that we've talked about so far, they'll get a chance to really actually go through these experiences. And after the pre-flight check-in, they're going to have a crew briefing. Okay? And so I think that's going to be real cool. And the crew briefing is going to actually come from those individuals, the faculty members, who they'll be working with in the classroom. So I think that is going to really set the tone for what they can look for as they go into this semester. And after that crew briefing, we're going to be going into that high altitude because, all of the faculty members, these academicians, they have, listen, they are the best professionals in their field of study. So they're going to take them to this altitude that is going to be so high that they're going to start cruising, and they're not going to even know that they're in the air at that particular moment. And then we'll come into that place to where we'll start thinking about, okay, we've got them up here. We're going to bring them back down. So they'll start taxiing, getting ready to taxi back in and look at what it is that we need to do for them. And the peer leaders are going to take over during that particular time. So they have peer leaders that are working with them, and they're going to prepare them, for this taxiing phase so that they can get to the period where they will have this safety briefing and they'll be back on the ground and ready to move forward such that in the next 4 to 5 years, then they will be able to lift off into their next phase of life. Can you imagine what that would have been like if you had had this experience when you came on deck?
No, I'm just thinking, man, this sounds so cool. I love the metaphor of flying and takeoff, especially with that being one of our themes at ULM. So I think it's amazing. Freshmen, this isn't just for freshmen, right?
So this is for our incoming students, yes.
Okay.
But if there are other students who want to come and join and get a refresher, I think that they should be able to do that. I think we can work that out, certainly.
I might be one of those students that pop in, I'm just saying. But
Yes, yes,
definitely freshmen, incoming students, this is the place that you need to be on that Saturday. And one of the things that keywords I heard you say was engage.
yes,
You have to engage. And this is one of those opportunities to engage, to discover where you want to be. And I know some people may be thinking, okay, college success, future, I want to have fun. Okay, I believe that healthy social life is also a part of success. And this is a place where you get to meet people, to have that, to build those connections and to get a great head start, because you're not just staying here, you're going above and beyond. And this definitely is a great intro to the school year to take them there.
yeah, I think so. And, we can't leave out athletics, of course. They had a great evening on last Friday with the
Mm.
pursuit that kind of kicked off some of the things that will be happening in athletics, where they introduced the coaches and some of the team members that are on our campus. But our students have to champion these athletes also, just as we do, and help them, because sometimes winning is all in that crowd interaction. If you know that you can get to, let's just take track for instance. You can get to that starting lineup, right? And when that gun goes off, you're concentrating on winning. But if you hear somebody call your name, or you hear somebody cheering for you, or if you know that they're cheering for you, oh, you gonna run extra hard. So even on the football field, on the basketball court, wherever they may be, baseball, softball, anywhere that they may be, and they are exercising their talents that they have in athletics, they are going to need to hear us in those stands, rooting and cheering them on. We have our new athletic director, Mr. Hartwell, who's on deck, and he's doing everything he can to champion this area. So we're just excited about the experiences that we will have on campus with athletics as well.
Yes, ma'am. That just makes me think I'm not an athletic person. So finding my place may not be on the field, but it can definitely be in the stands, supporting my fellow
Yes.
athletes, supporting the people who just make this campus what it is, that bring the life here. So I love that. And I'll be seeing y'all at some of these games.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. So also with who you are, who you want to be, getting acquainted on campus, being engaged and involved, it also makes me think about these things that we've suggested to them. They didn't know about Warhawk Way. They may have not known about some of the things that we offer here, but that is life. Life can be unexpected sometimes. Life can bring new opportunities to engage, to evolve and grow into people that not just we want to be, but people that we don't think we can imagine that we can be. Dr. Fields, do you have anything to add about just expecting the unexpected? Because there's more. There's more that you can be.
I think so. I will just let's talk about you for a moment. When students came to ask about having a voice on campus, and what did that look like? We started out sipping tea and just having those conversations. And then it became, what about podcasting? I was like, I'm not great at that. So somebody's going to have to lead that. That's not my forte. But you all jumped right in. You established the framework. You worked with Mr. Fontaine, and you talked about exactly what it was that you wanted to do and how you wanted to do it. And I think that a lot of students don't realize that when they ask for things, they want to have their voices heard, that we are here to work with them to make sure that you're able to do that. Because as we walked over here today, I was just talking to you about, okay, so how did you frame all of these things, and what did you do to think about this? And then I said, I had no idea that this was like one of your areas of expertise. And immediately you responded.
Yes, I was like, I didn't know either until I was given the opportunity. And that's very important to know. I knew who I was. I knew who I wanted to be. I love creative things. I love writing. I love speaking out, though sometimes I might need a little bit of encouragement to do that. And y'all, as a staff, definitely gave us that encouragement. I mean, me being here right now, speaking to all of you, speaking with Dr. Fields was a small yes and a small meeting. And because of that, I'm now here. And so I knew that I wanted to have an impact on campus, but then this was an opportunity I created for myself. And I took it and I allowed it to be a part of me and grow a piece of who I already was, but also expand who I want to. And so thank you. Thank you for being the type of administration that will champion students. And I think it's very important for us to know as students that we're not just finding a place here on our own. Our administration wants to help us. They want to support us. They're not here to shoot down our ideas or the moment that we want to do something make us feel shameful about what we don't know. They know that we're here to learn and they're willing to come alongside us and help us to be more than we could think of, more than we can imagine. I'll let you
Yes.
speak on that.
I think that that's very critical because a lot of times students always say, oh, they're not going to let us do that, or we can't do this, or we can't do that. I want them to take can't out of their vocabulary. I want them to know that everyone has an opportunity to champion ideas. That's all part of the entire thematic scheme that we have talked about here on our campus about being the best that you can be. Championing those ideas, not placing someone in a place where they can't do that. Just think, for instance, this morning we're splitting time because they're talking about the Pelican Cup. Everyone knows that that is probably one of the most innovative, competitive opportunities that you have on campus. If you really, really, really want to dig deep and find those things that are important to you, you have that opportunity, to become a part of a team and have your colleagues share with you exactly what it is that you want to do. And it's no telling where your idea that may have started with just a core group of you can go and who will champion that idea, finance it for you to make sure that it lifts off. I don't know very many other institutions that are doing this right now. And so I think that you're here, take advantage of all of those things, make sure that you go to the Student Success Center to be able to get the opportunity to be championed by advisors who can help you. Go to career services to make sure, that you have those opportunities once you get acclimated into your majors to have internships and all of those things. I think that's very, very important. And then watch for this pivotal moment that is going to take place as you begin to onboard and go through those various steps that we talked about with the Warhawk Summit.
Wow. You saying all of those things just makes me so excited to be here. I tell my friends all the time, like, I truly believe that I was here for a reason. And all of you are here for a reason. Even if you're like me, you're from Shreveport, maybe you apply late to school, maybe something happened, hey, you're here, and you have a place here. I think that's just so important for us to grasp and to know that this is the place where we can thrive. This is the place where we can succeed. And if we know who we are, we know what's available to us. Like she was saying, the Student Success Center, you can go there if you need tutoring, if you need help with writing your papers, there's places on that. We have a supportive administration here. We have plenty of RSOs and organizations and some way that you can make sure that you're engaged in a part of the process of becoming anything that you want to be and more than you think you can become is take an inventory of who you are. Who am I? What do I like? What are my interests and hobbies? But also, where do I want to be? And then you can take even that list and that thought process. You can take it to your advisor. Hey, where do you see me being on campus with these things? What organizations, what RSOs, what events do we have here for me to grow? But then also, you can take an event like Week of Welcome. We have a Week of Welcome coming up. And that will be the first week. There'll be so many events and so many things going out. So much free food, as we already mentioned. But more than asking these organizations here that are giving the free food about the free food, you can also ask them, what do they have to offer? You can also branch out and meet new people. And so it's a great opportunity to see what this campus has to offer. Dr. Fields, do you have anything else that you would like to say about anything? Go ahead.
Sure. Week of Welcome is going to kick off. And, I'm always doing something that I have no business. So I touched bases with Chris Williams this morning to make sure that I was on the right track. He was like, Dr. Fields, we can't really throw it out there just yet. So I'm going to throw some things out there so that everyone can be very excited about. Okay. Just a few little things,
Love you.
just some teasers, so every morning I can tell you this. That we will start out with a free breakfast every single morning so those students who are moving a little late, this first week, we're going to give you an opportunity to, pick up something really, really quick and get into class on time. After that, there are going to be some socials, lunch socials. You were talking about the free food.
Yeah.
There'll be a few lunch socials that will be in connection, with food service and other businesses around the city are coming and they are helping and they're very excited to come on campus and help. And so, but I don't want students to get so taken by these businesses coming and providing food. I want them to go and use dining services and the hub as well. Okay. And so each evening there are activities that are planned. And so I'll just talk about what Monday evening may look like. And so I think that Chi Alpha is going to be commingling with something in a mug. Also, there's going to be late night games that are going to be going on. They're going to call that Campus Movement, and that's going to be in Bayou Park. And so we're going to be excited about that. And then the BCM is going to be doing something that I think is called the Southern Exposure Selfie Booth. Everybody is high on social media now, so they love these selfies. Girl, listen, I looked out there the other day. I was like, oh, my God. So everybody's into this big time about taking selfies and making sure that they're becoming very, what I would say, popular on social media. So I know that everybody will be standing in line to be able to do that. So that's just a little teaser for you to talk about what Monday looks like. And then, of course, we will have all other types of activities that will move that way. The website will be updated this week. And so we will have that information out there for all of our students, both our new students and returning students, so that they can keep up. But we're kicking off Monday and we're going to kick it with a bang. Okay.
I believe it. I am excited. It's one of the most bustling times of the year, the very first week. And I believe the purpose of that is to give us fun experiences, yes, but also to help us to recognize there's so much that this university has to offer. There's so much that we are capable of and we can do. And there's so many opportunities for us to engage. And so I just want to encourage you all. Come out to Week of Welcome. Come out to those events. Even if you're a shy person like myself, it's okay. It's okay to branch out and try one thing, one new thing. Talk to one new person. This is college and the opportunities are limitless, and they're providing all of these opportunities to explore this place. And you can have an opportunity to expect the unexpected. You can have an opportunity to be more than what you think you could be. And so, Dr. Fields, is there anything that you would add to being engaged and expecting the unexpected?
I think that we have covered quite a lot this morning, and I've enjoyed the conversation with you. You've brought to mind some things that I probably hadn't thought about in a while, but, just thinking about the transitioning and moving into actually our history, of the university when we talk about the P40 and what that looks like, and beginning to brand in accordance with the P40. I think that that's going to be really cool in talking about, how we'll look at moving things outside of our lenses, looking outside of the frame to be able to do that. So I'm just excited to have this conversation with you on this morning. I hope that those who are listening have gained at least one or two little things that might be helpful to them as they move through, or they may have heard of an event or something that they would like to come and participate in. But most importantly, it is for our students on campus to know that they have the opportunity to do the exact same thing that you are doing here on this morning by championing what you believe in, what you feel is necessary to help get communication out to the students and help them to be able to have their voices heard. So I appreciate you for that.
Yes, ma'am. I appreciate you. I'm glad that we had this conversation as well and to have you on this podcast, which would not exist without your vision and your leadership. So thank you for engaging on this platform with me. It was definitely an honor. And I'd also like to extend a thanks to Misan Fontaine. He's a key success in this. And I am so grateful for his leadership as well. I also like to thank KEM radio station. They have been amazing in helping us and making sure that we can record this session. I also like to thank my co-host Treasure and Sade Events, they are also critical members of this podcast. And finally, I would like to thank you all. Thank you all for listening. I've shared my story. I've shared a bunch of different things. We've shared a bunch of different things, but it's truly not about us. It's about you. You get to determine who you're going to be. You get to take the opportunity to expand that, and you get to determine if you're going to allow yourself to be more than you can imagine. I'm your host, Linnea Bowden, and if nothing else, I'm encouraging you, go claim the spaces you were meant to fill on this campus.